All right, well, continuing our coverage for VMware Explore 2023, we are welcoming a good friend, an old friend of the show. Good day, mate. My good friend from Down Under.
How are you?
Anthony Spiteri. How you doing, sir?
Good, mate. I'm pretty good today.
I think you win the award for the longest travel distance.
Always.
Yeah, Perth is a long ways away.
Every year.
Perth is
30 hours worth of travel.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like I remember going to Australia and I was like, oh, I should go visit Anthony. But meanwhile, I'm in Sydney, so that's like
5 hours away from there. Yeah. Hey, but I'm used to it now. I mean, we were talking about time zones and sleep and whatnot, but I got in on Sunday and I naturally got into that 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock sleep, and that was good.
Nice.
So, you clearly are unstoppable, but also I saw a robot walking through. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, so we've got our Boston Dynamics robots that we bought earlier in the year. A little bit of a marketing thing to sort of use as a prop to a certain extent at these events, which work beautifully, by the way. These things, when you see them, Boston Dynamics, they're consumer-grade robots. You can buy them off the website effectively, right? But what a lot of vendors and companies have done is leverage them at events to draw people in for a conversation. So when you see it walking around, it creates two things, right? Either you're scared of it, because we've been trained all of our lives to fear machines.
Yeah, the machines will take us over.
And then typically in America, can I put a gun on it? Like that's kind of the first question I get asked a little bit. And then, have you seen the Black Mirror episode where the dogs were there as well? So there's a few different things. But on the flip side, there's a good part to it where they talk about the technology, what's running in it. It's basically got compute network storage. It's running Kubernetes inside it. I know that for a not so popular fact. But apart from that, it just draws in a crowd. We have that conversation based off it, and no matter where we are, it'll drag people in. So it's really good. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it here because it sprung a leak. One of its actuators.
Is it a data leak? Or
I'm just glad the machines still need us to maintain them.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to be just. My key thing is don't yell at it, because eventually, once they rise up, I want them to think kindly of me.
That's why I decided to take on the project as the lead from the technology point of view. So when they do rise, my little dudes will be all right with me, right? So they'll see me and they go, "This guy's okay. He treated me okay.
Army.
So didn't kick me."
So beyond hurting robots, I hear you had a session here.
We had a session as usual. We had the Veeam sponsored session. It was good this year, actually. We had a lot, actually 3 or 4 times what we had last year.
Nice.
But that doesn't mean it was a huge number. This last year, the timing or whatever it was didn't work. So I was kind of worried that it would be the same. But we had about 120 people in there, which was a pretty good session, I think.
Yeah.
And we talked about a number of different things. It was actually slightly edgy in the name, zero BS. For backup for the virtualization admin.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what the BS stood for. Was it like backup service?
Or, that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a clean show. I don't want to be too Australian on the show and just rattle off some swear words. But no, I think when we put it in there, actually, I thought it was going to get rejected straight away.
I'm actually surprised it did.
Pete once got a session called Snapshots Suck put in the catalog. So,
but from the point of view of that, like, I guess what we're trying to do is we're trying to highlight the amount of marketing that's found its way into our industry, right? And how what people would say from a marketing perspective doesn't often equal what the actual end product means and what it actually does for a customer, right? So there's a bit of a gap in that reality.
Sure.
And does it check the box, or does it actually solve my problem?
Exactly.
Or very different things sometimes.
Exactly, right. And even from that point of view, the messaging can be so far from the reality of when you actually get the product. So, and Veeam, we've always tried to be technically accurate and not talk BS when we talk to customers and partners. You guys know this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And what you get on the box is what you get, typically. So we've tried to sort of bring that in to counter a bit of that. And, all's fair in love and war, right, in this industry. And we know that marketing plays we're in technical marketing, right?
Yes,
we understand it to a certain extent. But we just wanted to make sure that when we're talking about our technology, it really is what it is.
Yeah, and obviously very impressive. Version 12, been out for a while. But you guys are talking today about 12A?
12A.
Yeah,
so 12A it's actually quite a big release for us. So we probably could actually have called it almost 13.
Really?
But not quite. We're still a bit unsure if we're going to go to 13 for obvious reasons in terms of numbering. Who knows?
You guys skipped like a couple versions at the start. So like if I remember the history. So that'd be fun. Skip 13.
But 12A is a big release. It's coming later in the year / potentially end of the year. It's got probably 3 main big features. So the big one being we're finally bringing in inline ransomware detection. So it's again ability to basically from a backup to the next backup be able to run the proxy to detect the blocks, check the change block tracking, so the incremental, and then see if there's been any change in entropy between what was and what is through that next backup chain. And what the entropy is basically saying is effectively how much encryption has potentially gone into the actual backup on the file system. And if there's enough encryption, in theory, that means that something's happened from a ransomware attack, malware attack, and
The
whatnot.
data protection path has always been the best place to catch a ransomware attack, just because, I mean, even without a ransomware attack, anytime your daily backups were like, okay, diff is 5 gigs, diff is 10 gigs, diff is 80 terabytes. Like, okay, I gotta go. What did you do? Like, even if it's not a ransomware attack, you need to go talk to the DBAs and like, okay, what are y'all doing?
Yep.
Like, there's probably a more efficient way to do it, frankly. Let's go do SureLab. But
Go ahead.
I'm curious, with ransomware, you guys have been doing backup and recovery for years, and now focusing also on ransomware. Have you seen that the requirements or the threat increases more rapidly within the ransomware than it does on traditional, say, antivirus protection and backup and recovery?
I think what the ransomware is doing now, it's targeting that backup data and that critical data first and foremost, and I think that's the biggest change. I think traditionally, if it was more like remember the old worms? We don't talk about worms anymore, right?
Yeah.
All those the traditional viruses, they used to hit the
I love you virus.
Yeah, they used to hit the operating system, the network, maybe a networking piece of equipment.
Server,
web server.
Into,
but they never really thought about going to the backup because backup has become so critical. The data's critical. So definitely these ransomware companies are hitting the backup first and the backup service. And if you're like, we're the number one backup company in the world right now, so we've just taken over that through IDC and everything. So officially, when you've got a dodgy ransomware company, doing their thing out of wherever, they're going to look at, who's the number one backup provider? Well, we're going to target them. Let's look at how they do their stuff, and it's specifically hit their software. So we've been able to, mitigate against that over the previous versions, would say adding multi-factor authentication, logging off the console, but then immutability, making sure you get a backup off-site. So we've been really trying to make sure that if an attack happens, which inevitably it could, you can recover quite quickly from that. And I think some of the, if I can be honest with you, some of the FUD that's been thrown out and a bit of a, is it appliance better or is it, Windows-based and software only? The reality is you can spin up a Windows machine with Terraform infrastructure code within minutes, right?
Yeah.
You can install VBR within minutes. So in theory, you don't need that underlying infrastructure. Even if from an ESX point of view, if that gets hit with ransomware, you can spin up a VM with Veeam in a couple of minutes.
Repulling on the index was always super easy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember back in the day.
You don't even have to rebuild it, right?
Yeah, it's already there.
From a Veeam perspective, you just hook it up to, if it's a object storage repository, hook it up straight away, instant recover.
Nice.
Like, you can really get up and running within literally minutes. And I think that's the reality of what we can offer versus some others out there, right?
Well, if people are saying that appliances somehow are in a better position than that, I've seen an appliance vendor where they did have a problem with device getting compromised, and the solution was you had to mail the box back to them and get a replacement.
Yeah,
so
that's the reality of that.
These things are still running Unix or Linux under the hood.
Absolutely.
Like, nothing.
Let's not forget that.
There's nothing sacred about appliances. In fact, it potentially gets weirder because at least you probably know how to blast a box down to bare metal and restart.
Absolutely. So yes, I was going to say that's obviously the top line feature in 12A.
Right. Yeah. So
but then we've also got object storage backup, which we've probably, to be fair, had needed to get into the product for a while. So that's quite big, and it's actually interesting, the whole concept of that. It's kind of similar conversation to why would you back up Kubernetes, a container back in the day? Well, why would you do it?
Right,
Some people have been asking about object storage, why would you back? But the reality is you've got to get that data and not have it locked into one particular platform. So the feel-good factor of moving it to another platform to back it up just in case something happens, we're doing that, enabling multi-cloud, cross-cloud backup. And then finally, some CDP enhancements. So we've talked about CDP before on the show here, but being able to increase the scalability of it. So we've had some really awesome testing with 12A. We've done 2,000 VMs, 58 hosts, pumping out like serious, throughput, and it's been handling it pretty well.
Oh wow! So when it first came out, like we'd be like, okay, let's do a couple of VMs per host.
Yeah.
Like, don't put everything on it. Like, this is scaling up quite a bit.
And I think that's kudos. We've obviously been working with your R&D as well to make sure that the VIO drivers can handle that as well. So that's kudos to the VMware team. And then we've added guest file or guest restore as well, so file restore from the stream, which we didn't have before, and also a visualizer which will show you a bit more about what's happening from an I/O perspective in the stream. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, so you troubleshoot in band. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any demos with that. Are they doing it at the booth or?
The 12A, I'm not sure if they're doing that one.
Okay.
For CDP. I showed, actually to be fair, we've still got like alpha pre-beta versions of that in flight. So I got a special build for the ransomware. I did show the CDP, the object storage backup at Veeam. So that was my main stage where I broke a website and ransomware it and got it back. That was pretty cool. I love doing that.
I thought that was fantastic.
I had fun, I had a lot of fun with that, right? Building the website. That actually got me into the first time I'm using Lambda functions and serverless and S3, and I put together a website and killed it and made it was just good fun. Trying to make backup cool, which is actually hard sometimes.
Well, I mean, backup and storage are best when they're boring. Let's be honest. If it gets too exciting,
Yeah, for sure. Well. Anthony, I want to thank you for joining us. And where can people go to learn more and even maybe get some free trials or anything like that for V12? Is that
not quite yet, but what will happen is in the next couple of months, or actually hopefully the next couple of weeks, we'll have a beta available. So, reach out through your SE. Usually that's how it works. Test it out. Please test it out, actually. We want bigger drive and adoption of our beta software. Because if you guys use it first in beta, all the edge corner cases of bugs and whatever get sorted, and we can get the product out quicker. So but head to Veeam.com for all of your general updates about Veeam.
Yeah, and Veeam has been notoriously open to customer feedback and getting things in there. It's not like other companies where you just
go post in the forums. They're listening always.
They are definitely listening.
Multiple different methods of those forums now, so we've really opened it up.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been a very valued partner at VMware for years, man, and I want to thank you for taking some time to talk with us today.
I love it always.
All right, man. Take care.
Cheers.